So I was actually out walking the dog the other night, and it was one of those rare, perfectly clear evenings.
Those are the best,
Yeah.
especially in the city.
Right. The city light pollution somehow dialed back just enough to actually, for once, really see the stars.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
It really doesn't. And usually when you look up, it's a very specific feeling,
Yeah, you see this beautiful, but ultimately like random scattering of light.
Exactly. It's chaotic. It feels like staring into this massive, silent void.
Which can be a bit overwhelming, honestly.
Oh, totally. It usually makes me feel incredibly small, like just an accident of statistics in an expanding vacuum.
Right, the whole existential dread thing.
Yeah, exactly that. But because I was preparing for this particular deep dive, I tried a little experiment.
Okay, color me intrigued. What did you do?
I tried to look at that sky differently. I stood there and tried to imagine that instead of a random scattering, I was looking up at a meticulously engineered, multi-layered blueprint.
Oh, wow. There's a shift.
Right. I tried to picture that every single point of light is just one node in an immense centralized power grid.
I mean, it completely alters the existential weight of the sky when you do that, doesn't it?
It really does. It changes everything.
Because you transition from observing a passive void to essentially standing inside an active mechanism. You start looking for the architecture.
Exactly. You start looking for empty space and start looking for the framework. And that fundamental shift in perspective is exactly what we are getting into today.
It's a heavy topic, but a fascinating one.
It really is. So we are doing a deep dive into a text titled The Higher Havens and Beyond, which was written by Dr. Khaled Waleed.
Yes, and it's a really unique piece of work.
It's highly specific, deeply linguistic. It offers this complete reinterpretation of traditional Quranic cosmology.
Right. What Dr. Waleed lays out is referred to as the celestial hierarchy, or sometimes the pact of the highest heavens.
Yeah. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, and there are a lot of nuts and bolts, we really need to be clear about our parameters today for you, the listener.
We absolutely do, because the text we are analyzing today deals intrinsically with religious scripture.
Right.
It touches on profound theological concepts, and Dr. Waleed proposes some rather significant and honestly sometimes controversial reinterpretations of long-held beliefs.
Including things like shifting geographical centers of faith, which we'll get into later.
Exactly. So our mission today is strictly analytical. We are not here to take a side.
Definitely not.
We aren't endorsing a specific theology, and we are not validating or invalidating the historical claims made in the text. Our goal is simply to objectively unpack Dr. Waleed's unique framework.
Yeah, we're basically treating this document the way we would treat a complex architectural schematic.
That's a great way to put it. We want to understand the system he's built on paper.
Exactly. We are going to reconstruct this universe from the top down.
Starting with the overarching operating system.
Right, the system that controls the entire structure. And then we'll try to locate the literal power source that fuels it.
And from there, we'll travel through the physical layers of the cosmos he describes.
Which is wild. And later, we'll get into this massive linguistic retranslation of a single ancient word, wary.
Oh, that part is mind-blowing.
It really is. It literally flips the entire map of the universe upside down.
It changes everything about how you read the text.
Yeah. And finally, we'll examine what this massive cosmological machine means for you, the listener, and, your own trajectory within it.
So to understand a universe this complex, we first have to figure out what prevents it from collapsing.
Right, what's holding the whole thing together?
Exactly. In Dr. Waleed's text, we start at the absolute top of the hierarchy with a concept known as the cursi.
Okay, let's pause here. I really want to spend some time on this word.
It's crucial we do.
Because anyone who is familiar with the theology, when they hear cursi, specifically from the famous Verse of the Throne, the immediate mental image is a literal physical seat.
Right, like a piece of divine furniture.
Exactly. The historical mythological imagery usually depicts a giant cosmic footstool or a majestic chair belonging to a monarch.
Which is a very human anthropomorphic concept, right?
Yeah.
We're projecting human royalty onto a deity.
Yeah, exactly.
And the traditional surface-level reading has leaned heavily into that physical interpretation for centuries.
You picture a king on a throne overseeing a kingdom.
Right. But Dr. Waleed strips all that mythology away. He approaches the text entirely through linguistics.
Okay, so how does he break it down?
He traces the word kursi back to its Arabic root and connects it to the concept of takris.
Takris. Okay, walk us through the etymology there. What does that mean?
So takris basically translates to dedicate, to focus intensely, or to consecrate.
Oh, interesting. So it's an action, not an object.
Exactly. In Waleed's framework, he argues that the kursi was never meant to be understood as a chair. It is instead the absolute continuous dedication of God's immense knowledge, attention, and control.
So it's an active, ongoing system.
Yes. The original text states that his kursi encompasses the heavens and the earth.
Okay.
Under Dr. Waleed's interpretation, this doesn't mean a chair is physically large enough to hold the planets.
Right, like some giant cosmic bowl.
Exactly. It means God has dedicated his infinite awareness and energetic systems to entirely encircle, monitor, and maintain reality.
Okay, let's unpack this because I'm trying to wrap my head around Takriz as a functional mechanism.
It takes a second to shift from a noun to a verb like that.
It really does. But if it means intense dedication, it kind of reminds me of how a computer allocates processing power.
Oh, that's a really interesting angle. Tell me more.
Well, let's say you open a massive video editing software on your laptop.
Right. Something heavy.
Exactly. The computer's operating system has to dedicate a huge chunk of its RAM, its active memory, just to keep that program running and stable.
Yeah, it allocates resources.
Right. If the system stops dedicating that memory, even for a second, the program crashes and all the data disappears.
Boom, gone.
Yeah. So Dr. Waleed seems to be saying that God dedicates his infinite awareness in a similar way. He's allocating ultimate processing power to keep reality itself from crashing.
That computer analogy holds up quite well within Waleed's framework, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Because when a system allocates memory, it is actively maintaining the state of that program second by second.
It's a continuous effort.
Exactly. Waleed's concept of the kursi is the ultimate allocation of cognitive and energetic power.
Wow.
He explicitly points out that the text describes this system as operating without fatigue, without boredom, and without any lapse in attention.
Right, because if the system blinked,
everything crashes. It is a state of perpetual hypervigilance that maintains the data of the universe.
But doesn't that fundamentally alter the relationship between the creator and the creation?
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it from the perspective of you, the listener. Imagine the psychological difference between living in a universe that is just passively owned by a creator.
Like the classic clockmaker analogy.
Yes. The clockmaker who winds up the clock, puts it on the mantle, and just walks away to sit on a throne.
Right.
Versus living in a universe that only exists in this exact microsecond because it is being actively, highly concentrated upon.
It shifts the universe from an artifact to an ongoing event.
An ongoing event. I like that.
Yeah, because in the passive model, existence is a trait the universe possesses on its own after being created.
It just is.
Right. But in Waleed's active model, existence is a continuous verb.
Mm-hmm.
The universe doesn't exist independently. It is being existed through the dedicated attention of the kursi.
It creates this really strange duality of comfort and absolute terror, doesn't it?
It really does.
On one hand, you're never abandoned. The system is heavily monitored. You're always in focus.
But on the other hand,
the sheer fragility of reality is staggering. If the attention were to blink, the physical world simply evaporates.
Back to the void.
Exactly. But if we accept this premise for the sake of the analysis, that the universe is a space filled with dedicated active control, then the physical structures within that space must also be highly functional.
Right. An operating system implies hardware.
And hardware requires a power source.
Exactly. Which brings us to the next layer of Dr. Waleed's analysis.
Because if the kursi is the attention maintaining the system, what does the actual architecture of the system look like? And what is fueling it?
To explain this, Waleed turns to one of the most famous and, honestly, most poetic passages in the Quran.
Right, the verse of light in Surah An-Nur.
Yes.
Now, I read his notes on this, and I have to admit, I was highly skeptical at first.
Really? Why is that?
Well, because traditionally, this verse is read as a beautiful, abstract metaphor about divine guidance, right?
Yeah, the light of God illuminating the heart of a believer. Very spiritual, very ethereal.
Exactly. But Waleed strips away all the poetry and treats it like a technical schematic.
He really does.
He reads ancient scripture almost like a physicist reading a blueprint for a nuclear reactor.
It's a fascinating approach. He views the verse as a literal diagram of a cosmic energy system.
Okay, so we have to break down the elements of this diagram one by one to see how he constructs this machine.
Right, so the verse describes a niche containing a lamp. The lamp is inside a glass. The glass shines like a brilliant star, and the lamp is lit from a blessed olive tree.
Okay, let's decode the schematic. What is the tree?
So in Dr. Waleed's translation, the blessed olive tree represents the entire universe.
The whole.
The whole thing. Not just our galaxy, but the entirety of existence as a holistic, interconnected system.
Okay, so the whole universe is the tree. Then what is the glass?
The glass, or sometimes translated as the planet, that encases the lamp is interpreted by Waleed as the highest ceiling of the heavens.
A ceiling?
Yeah, it acts as an absolute containment field that encases the entire universe.
Wow.
And from the outside, if you were looking at this containment field, the whole structure would appear as a brilliant pearl-like star.
It sounds remarkably like the concept of a Dyson sphere in astrophysics, but just scaled up to an incomprehensible degree.
That's a perfect comparison.
Like, for the listener, a Dyson sphere is this hypothetical engineering megastructure that completely encompasses a star to capture a large percentage of its solar power output.
Right, it traps the energy.
Exactly. And Waleed is describing a cosmic containment field enclosing all of reality.
Enclosing the entire olive tree.
But a containment field has to be containing something. What is the fuel inside the glass?
Now, this is the most crucial element in Waleed's diagram. The verse explicitly states that the oil almost glows, even if untouched by fire.
Okay.
Waleed identifies this oil as the raw primary source of cosmic energy. It is described as light upon light.
Light upon light.
Yeah. In his framework, he argues this is the pure energy emitted by the divine command before it interacts with matter.
Before it interacts with matter.
Yes.
I need to pause here because that is a massive concept. Are we talking about something akin to zero-point energy?
It definitely shares conceptual similarities.
Because zero-point energy, in quantum mechanics, is the lowest possible energy that a quantum mechanical system may have. It's the energy of empty space.
Right. The background energy of the universe.
Yeah. So Waleed's oil is the ultimate potential energy.
Exactly. And the fire mentioned in the verse represents physical material interaction.
So friction, combustion.
The realities of physics as we experience them.
Got it.
So this oil is the pure potential energy of existence, radiating out to power the whole tree, and it almost glows, even without the catalyst of the physical fire.
So to summarize the schematic, the oil is the absolute potential energy, the fire is the kinetic or physical reaction, and the glass is the containment field keeping the entire reaction stable so it doesn't just, burn out or explode into the void.
That's the blueprint, yes.
Viewing a religious text through such a mechanical, systematic lens is just a radical departure from mysticism.
It removes the abstract and replaces it with architecture.
But an energy grid of this magnitude needs a central node to distribute the power, right? A central hub. Does Waleed identify a geographic center for this schematic?
He does, actually. And he bases it on the next line of the verse, which states, this tree is neither the east nor the west.
Okay. Usually that's taken to mean it's universal, right?
Right. Spiritually universal. But Dr. Waleed interprets this geographically and topographically.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He points to Bakka, which is an ancient name for Jerusalem, as the central axis of this energy system on Earth.
Oh, wow. We have to acknowledge that this is a significant point of departure from mainstream tradition.
It absolutely is.
Because most people would assume the center of the Islamic world, spiritually and geographically, is Mecca.
It is a major divergence. Dr. Waleed explicitly contrasts Mecca with Bakka.
Interesting.
He frames Jerusalem as the true center of this specific cosmic balance.
And how does he justify that geographically?
He argues that its geographical position, literally mediating between the eastern and western hemispheres, mirrors its cosmological role in the balance of creation.
A literal fulcrum point.
Exactly. He views it as the focal point for the ongoing struggle between good and evil, trial and temptation.
But what is his underlying logic for that? Why Bakka over Mecca in this specific mechanical framework?
His argument relies heavily on that phrasing, neither of the east nor the west.
Okay.
He posits that a true center of an energetic grid must be a point of absolute equilibrium.
Right.
In his reading of the historical and scriptural texts, Jerusalem has functioned as the axis of revelation and conflict, the point where the oil of divine command most frequently interacts with the fire of human history.
So it is the geographic fulcrum of the entire blessed olive tree.
That's how he maps it.
Now, I want to remind the listener again here, we are looking at this strictly as a data point within Dr. Waleed's constructed framework.
Yes, very important context.
We aren't here to verify the historical geography or debate theological legitimacy.
We're just mapping his blueprint.
Exactly. We are simply noting that within his blueprint, Jerusalem is the central power node. It's the balancing point.
And if we step back and look at the bigger picture Waleed is painting here, he is constructing a universe that is highly centralized and intensely ordered.
Extremely
It
ordered.
has a specific containment field, a specific raw fuel source in the oil, and a specific point of terrestrial balance.
Okay, so we have the operating system, the Kersey, that dedicated attention preventing a crash.
Right.
And we have the power source, the pure oil of potential energy radiating from a central axis.
Correct.
So where is that power actually flowing? What is the physical shape of the territory we're living in?
This is where it gets really visual.
Because if I go back to my walk with the dog, when I look up, I just see an endless expanding void. I don't see a glass ceiling or a containment field.
Right. That is where Dr. Waleed's architecture becomes incredibly tangible and, frankly, a bit claustrophobic.
Claustrophobic? How so?
Well, he introduces his interpretation of the seven heavens. Now, often when people hear the phrase seven heavens, they think of abstract spiritual realms.
Yeah, exactly. Like levels in a video game that you only access after you die.
Right.
You know, the first heaven is for one type of angel, the second for another. Just these ethereal clouds of non-physical existence.
Precisely. But Waleed defines them as literal, massive, physical structures.
Solid architecture.
Solid architectural reality. And the most sobering part of his framework is where he locates human existence within that structure.
Okay, brace me. Where are we?
We are currently living in what the text calls the dunya.
Dunya. Let's dig into the linguistics of that. What does the root word actually mean?
Etymologically, dunya translates to the lowest, the nearest, or the most inferior region.
The lowest.
Yes. In Waleed's physical model, we are at the very bottom of the cosmic barrel. We're in the basement of reality.
The basement. That's quite a demotion from being the center of the universe.
It really is. Above us are seven distinct physical heavens. He describes them as spherical and repeated. You have to imagine massive, solid domes or spheres.
So they're layered.
Yes. Each heaven acts as a physical ceiling to the one below it.
Right.
And within the vast spaces between these solid ceilings are the galaxies, the stars, the planets.
Wait.
Yeah.
Everything we can observe with our most powerful telescopes is trapped beneath the first ceiling.
Everything.
A good visual for the listener would be a set of Russian matryoshka dolls. The nested dolls.
That's the perfect analogy.
You, sitting in traffic or doing the dishes right now while listening to this, you are inside the tiniest, tightest doll, right in the absolute center.
Trapped in the smallest shell.
But I have a major scientific question about this model.
Go ahead.
If there are solid ceilings enclosing us, how does Dr. Waleed account for modern astronomy?
The scale issue.
Exactly. When scientists point the James Webb Space Telescope at the sky, they are looking at light from galaxies that are billions of light years away.
They're effectively looking back toward the dawn of time.
Right. They see an expanding universe, not a solid dome. How does that fit into the first Russian doll?
That is the staggering scale we are dealing with in Waleed's framework.
It has to be massive.
It is. When he talks about the space beneath the first heaven, he isn't talking about the edge of our solar system.
Okay.
The entirety of the observable universe, every galaxy, every quasar, the billions of light years of expanding space that James Webb can see, all of that exists entirely within the innermost Russian doll.
That is just hard to process.
It is. The distances to the first solid ceiling are so unfathomable that our light hasn't even reached it yet, or our instruments simply cannot perceive the curvature of the containment field.
So what we consider the vast, infinite universe is just the air inside the smallest doll.
Exactly.
It makes you feel microscopic.
It really redefines the word infinite, doesn't it?
It does. But if these are nested spheres, does the text imply that this set of seven heavens is the only one? Like, are we the only set of Russian dolls on the table?
Waleed hints at a fascinating extrapolation here. When he describes the architecture reaching the seventh heaven, the highest degree of our specific universe, he notes that the text implies there are many like it.
Oh. We are talking about a multiverse.
In a structural sense, yes.
So not a Marvel multiverse.
No. It is not necessarily a multiverse of alternate timelines where you made different choices, like in popular comic books.
Okay, good to clarify.
It is a multiverse of structural repetition. Multiple sets of these seven-layered nested spheres, all operating simultaneously.
Wow. Next to each other.
Presumably, yes. And, crucially, all of them are governed by the same overarching throne and the operating system of the Kersey.
So the RAM is powering multiple programs at once.
Exactly. Our entire unimaginably vast universe is just one unit, one power plant among many, operating under the same cosmic management.
The scale is absolutely dizzying.
It takes a minute to adjust to.
We are in the smallest doll in the basement of a 7-story complex, which is just one complex in a massive cosmic city.
That's the map.
It naturally begs the question, though. If we are trapped at the very bottom, in the inferior realm of the Dunya, what is at the absolute top?
Right, what's on the roof.
Exactly. If you keep zooming out, past the seventh heaven, past the final Russian doll of our universe, what is up there?
Well, this brings us to what I consider the most radical and surprising linguistic shift in Dr. Waleed's entire body of work.
Oh, this is the part I was waiting for.
It is a retranslation of a single word that flips the entire cosmology upside down.
Okay, set up the premise for us. What is the verse in question?
It centers around a specific phrase used to describe God's absolute dominion in Surah Taha.
Okay.
The traditional, widely accepted translation of the verse says that God owns everything in the heavens, everything on the earth, everything between them, and Matata al-Thara.
Matata al-Thara. And how is that traditionally understood?
Traditionally, it translates as what is beneath the damp soil, or what is beneath the dirt.
Conceptually, that makes logical sense, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a poetic way of expressing total ownership. God owns the highest highs in the sky and the lowest lows, down to the worms and the mud and the bedrock beneath our feet.
Right. Ownership from top to bottom.
So why would Dr. Waleed challenge a translation that seems so straightforward?
Because Dr. Waleed introduces a massive paradigm shift based on Arabic linguistic roots.
Okay.
He argues that in this specific cosmic context, Thara does not mean damp soil.
Then what does it mean?
He asserts it is actually the plural of the word Thuraya.
And what does Thuraya mean?
Thuraya translates to great chandeliers,
Chandeliers.
grand cosmic lamps, massive, brilliant star clusters.
Wait, really?
Yes, in fact, the Pleiades star cluster is often called Al-Thuraya in Arabic.
Oh, wow.
So Waleed is arguing that the root word isn't dirt, it's cosmic chandeliers.
Wait, let me get this straight.
Go ahead.
For centuries, people have read this verse believing it was a poetic way of saying God owns everything from the sky down to the mud in the ground.
Yes, looking downward.
But Dr. Waleed is saying, no, you are literally looking the wrong way.
Precisely.
He's saying beneath the Thara is not the worms and the dirt under our feet. He is saying it refers to the majestic realm located at the absolute highest ceiling of the upper heavens.
You're getting it.
The realm directly beneath the ultimate cosmic lamps that illuminate the entire universe.
It completely rewrites the architectural map of the text.
It's a complete 180.
It is. By changing that one word from dirt to chandeliers, he shifts the focus of ultimate dominion from the mundane to the majestic.
That is unbelievable.
In Waleed's framework, this area, beneath the Thara, is not a dark subterranean underground. It is the absolute pinnacle of reality.
What does he call this area?
He calls it the Great Zone of Praise, or Al-Amd.
The Great Zone of Praise. I want to try to visualize this. What is happening in this zone?
It is the ultimate energy factory.
Oh, linking back to the power source.
Exactly. Think back to the oil from the verse of life, the pure potential energy.
Right, the glowing oil without the fire.
Waleed argues that this great zone of praise, located directly beneath the cosmic chandeliers of the highest heavens, is the source.
It's a generator room.
It is where the raw energy of existence is endlessly manufactured and distributed by the command of the most merciful.
Wow.
It operates without fatigue, powering all the nested universes, all the Russian dolls below it.
So it's pouring downward.
Yes, it is the control room bathed in the light of the Thuraya.
It's a brilliant conceptual flip. It takes this ancient text and turns it into a towering sci-fi megastructure.
It's a very modern mechanistic read of ancient words.
But, you know, whenever we deal with cosmology on this scale, it always brings up a very heavy, very human existential question.
Which is?
So what?
Yes. The so what is always the most important part of any theological framework.
Because we have established this incredibly vast hierarchy of spheres.
Right.
We have the operating system of the Kursi, the energy factory at the top, bathed in chandelier light, the 7 nested dolls, and us, sitting at the bottom in the damp basement of the Dunya.
Looking up at a very high ceiling.
Exactly. So why? What is the listener's place in this massive engineering project? Are we just, I don't know, mold growing in the basement?
That's a grim way to look at it, but no, not at all.
Okay, good.
To answer the why, Waleed turns to the very beginning of Surah Taha.
What does it say?
The verse states plainly, We have not sent down the Quran to you to cause you distress, or, in other translations, to make you suffer.
Okay, so suffering isn't the point.
Right. Waleed leans heavily into this premise. He argues vehemently that human beings were not created to simply suffer in the prison of the dunya.
But if we aren't here to suffer, and we aren't just an accident in the basement, what is our function?
Because looking at the sheer scale of the system, it's hard not to feel insignificant, right?
Very hard.
What's fascinating here is Waleed's view on human programming.
Programming.
Yes. In his analysis, we are designed, fundamentally engineered, for continuous, infinite evolution and spiritual ascension.
Ascension, like literally moving upward.
Literally moving upward through the spheres. The entire massive structure we just described, the 7 nested spheres, it's not a prison.
Then what is it?
It's a ladder. It's a developmental trajectory.
Oh. So the dunya isn't a punishment cell, it's the starting line.
Exactly. The goal is to break out.
Like reaching the next level of a game.
Essentially, yes. But you can't just float upward on good intentions.
Right.
You need fuel to break the gravity of the lowest realm.
Fuel. Okay, back to the physics analogies.
In Waleed's framework, the fuel is not some mystical, abstract feeling. It is actionable.
What kind of action?
He argues that knowledge, prayer, and righteous deeds act as literal kinetic energy.
Kinetic energy.
Yes. They are the mechanisms of propulsion. You use them to achieve what we might call spiritual escape velocity.
Okay, I am going to push back on this a little bit because it sounds like we are mixing metaphors here.
Let's hear it.
Doing a good deed equals physical thrust. That sounds entirely metaphorical. How does a prayer, which is just a string of spoken words or a thought, translate into kinetic energy in Waleed's universe?
That's a fair question. It requires understanding how Waleed views consciousness and action within this specific theology.
Okay, walk me through that.
He doesn't separate the physical from the spiritual the way we do in modern science.
They aren't distinct categories.
Not at all. In his framework, consciousness, intent, and righteous action are fundamental forces of nature.
Like gravity.
Exactly. Akin to gravity or electromagnetism.
Oh, wow.
When you acquire profound knowledge or perform an act aligned with the divine structure, you are not just checking a moral box.
You're not just being a good person.
No, you are generating an energetic frequency.
Oh, I see.
This frequency literally alters the density or the positional value of the soul, providing the upward thrust necessary to bypass the containment fields of the lower heavens.
It's literal astrophysics, but the physics of the soul.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it.
Because in standard physics, escape velocity is the exact speed you need to break free from the gravitational pull of a massive body, like Earth, right?
Right.
If you don't hit that speed, you fall back down.
Gravity wins.
Yeah. So what does this mean for the listener? It means that in Dr. Waleed's framework, gaining knowledge, seeking truth, doing good in the world, it is the required kinetic energy needed to launch yourself out of this bottom-tier universe.
You are generating the energy required to travel upward, passing through the nested spheres, piercing the solid ceilings of the 7 heavens.
It's an active process. You're building an engine.
Yes, and there's a specific destination for all of this thrust.
Right. Where are we trying to go? If we break through all 7 ceilings, where do we end up?
The ultimate goal is to reach what the text calls the Darajat Ula.
The highest degrees.
Yes.
Which is located where?
Near the Thuraya.
The chandeliers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Near the cosmic lamps in the great zone of praise that we discussed earlier.
So we are trying to get to the generator room.
We are trying to return to the source. The ultimate destination is to exist in that highest realm, bathed in the pure light of the source energy.
And what does existence look like up there?
Waleed stresses that reaching this state means entering a realm of eternal freedom.
Freedom from the spheres.
Freedom from the dunya. It is a state of existence that is no longer bound by the heavy, restrictive physical matter of the lowest realm.
Why?
More importantly, it is no longer bound by time as we experience it down here.
Oh, time works differently.
Presumably, since you are closer to the ultimate operating system, it is an existence of continuous, infinite discovery and proximity to the Creator.
It is an incredibly empowering vision.
It really flips the script on feeling insignificant.
It does, because we started this hour with the idea of being trapped in the smallest Russian doll, which felt isolating and honestly claustrophobic.
Like being stuck in the basement.
Yeah. But Waleed is saying the doll is an incubator. The scripture, the knowledge we are supposed to acquire, is literally the instruction manual on how to open the latch from the inside.
That's a great metaphor. He explicitly uses the word tazkira to describe this knowledge.
Tazkira. What does that mean?
The text is a tazkira, which is often translated as a reminder.
A reminder.
But in the context of this massive mechanical structure we've been outlining, it functions more like a ticket or a pass.
A boarding pass out of the dunya.
Exactly. Knowledge is the ticket designed to liberate the mind, and eventually the soul, from the confines of the material world.
That's beautiful.
It frames the pursuit of understanding not as an academic chore, but as the most vital survival mechanism we possess.
Okay, let's take a moment to pull all of this together, because we have covered an immense amount of cosmic ground today.
We really have, from the operating system to the chandeliers.
Yeah, so we started with the Kursi, Dr. Waleed's concept of an active, highly dedicated operating system that uses continuous, unfailing attention to prevent the universe from crashing.
The ultimate RAM allocation.
Right. We then analyzed the verse of light as an architectural blueprint,
Identifying the pure oil of potential cosmic energy, centralized at a specific geographic and energetic node in Jerusalem.
which acts as the fulcrum for the entire system.
Exactly.
Then we zoomed out to look at the physical architecture of our reality, the dunya at the bottom, encased in the solid, nested Russian dolls of the 7 physical heavens.
Which, as we noted, are vast enough to contain everything our modern telescopes can see within just the first layer.
Mind-blowing. We unpacked the radical linguistic shift of the word thara, realizing that ultimate dominion is not focused on the dirt beneath our feet,
But on the magnificent cosmic chandeliers, the Thuraya, powering the universe from the absolute top.
And finally, we brought it right back down to you, the listener, realizing that your purpose isn't to languish in the basement,
But to use knowledge and action to generate the kinetic energy needed to achieve escape velocity.
to climb the cosmic ladder all the way to the highest degrees.
It is a framework that completely changes the nature of learning.
It really does.
If you view the universe through Dr. Waleed's lens, every new piece of knowledge you acquire, every complex concept you struggle to understand, is not just filling your brain with trivia.
No, it has a physical weight to it.
It is literally fueling your upward trajectory through the nested spheres.
It makes being a curious person the most important job in the universe.
It really does.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, there is one final lingering detail from Dr. Waleed's text that I just cannot stop thinking about.
Well, the conclusion of the text.
Yeah. At the very end of his document, he briefly teases a future exploration. He talks about an event called the Day of Gathering.
Right, the ultimate conclusion of the cosmic timeline within this specific framework.
Yes. He hints at a specific pact, an event where all these massive nested universes, all the physical Russian dolls, all the multiverses currently operating under the dedicated attention of the Kursi will eventually fold together into one single point.
A total collapse of the architecture.
Exactly. So the next time you step outside at night and you look up at that meticulously engineered grid of stars.
The containment field.
Right. I want you to wonder, if the universe is a series of nested spheres waiting for a final command to be folded up, what happens to the space between the stars when all the layers finally collapse into one?